The Saudi royal family. These words evoke images of vast deserts, unimaginable wealth, and a power that resonates on a global scale. Few dynasties throughout history have commanded such attention and wielded such influence. Their story is a complex tapestry woven from tribal alliances, religious fervor, and an almost unfathomable abundance of natural resources. For over 2 centuries, the Al Saud family has ruled over the Arabian Peninsula, transforming a land of nomadic tribes and isolated settlements into a modern nation-state, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Their journey, however, has been anything but straightforward. From the deserts of Najd, the House of Saud emerged, forging alliances and battling rivals for control. Their embrace of the ultra-conservative Wahhabi form of Islam provided them with a powerful unifying force and legitimacy in the eyes of their followers. But their rise to power was not without its setbacks. The family faced challenges from rival tribes, external powers, and internal divisions that threatened to unravel their hard-won gains. Today, the Saudi royal family stands at a crossroads. While still immensely powerful and influential, they face mounting pressures in a rapidly changing world. The old order is giving way to new realities, and the decisions made by the current generation of Saudi leaders will have far-reaching consequences, not only for the kingdom but for the entire Middle East and beyond. To truly understand the Saudi royal family, one must journey back to the arid heart of the Arabian Peninsula in the 18th century. This vast and unforgiving desert landscape, with its scorching heat and sparse resources, was home to a myriad of tribes and small settlements, each vying for survival and dominance. It was in this unforgiving landscape that the House of Saud first rose to prominence. The harsh environment shaped the resilience and determination of its people, who learned to thrive despite the odds. The year 1744 marked a pivotal moment in their history. This was a time of great change and upheaval, as various tribes sought to expand their influence and secure their future. It was then that Muhammad ibn Salman, the emir of the small town of Diriyah, formed a fateful alliance with a fiery religious reformer named Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab. This partnership was not just a meeting of minds but a convergence of visions that would alter the course of history. This pact, based on a shared vision of religious purity and political ambition, laid the foundation for the first Saudi state. The alliance was a strategic move, combining military might with religious fervor, creating a powerful and unifying force. Ibn Abd al-Wahhab's teachings, known as Wahhabism, called for a return to a strict interpretation of Islam, condemning what he saw as idolatry and innovations that had crept into the faith. His message was clear and uncompromising, advocating for a purification of the religion. His message resonated with many in the region who yearned for a return to religious purity. The call for reform struck a chord with those disillusioned by the existing religious practices and the perceived moral decay of society. Ibn Saud, recognizing the potential of this new religious movement, provided Ibn Abd al-Wahhab with protection and patronage. In return, the growing number of Wahhabi followers became a powerful military force for the House of Saud. This symbiotic relationship allowed both leaders to consolidate their power and expand their influence. With religious zeal fueling their expansion, the Saudi forces swept across the Arabian Peninsula, conquering neighboring tribes and expanding their control. Their military campaigns were relentless, driven by a sense of divine mission and the promise of a unified Islamic state. By the end of the 18th century, the first Saudi state, centered in Diriyah, had become a major power in the region, controlling much of what is today Saudi Arabia. The once small and obscure town of Diriyah had transformed into a thriving political and religious center. However, this early period of Saudi expansion was not to last. The rapid rise of the Saudi state brought with it new challenges and formidable enemies. Their success had not gone unnoticed by the Ottoman Empire, which viewed the rising Saudi state as a threat to its own power in the region. The Ottomans, determined to curb the influence of the Saudis, began to prepare for a confrontation that would test the resilience and resolve of the fledgling Saudi state. The alliance between the House of Saud and the Wahhabi movement proved to be a potent force, propelling the family from relative obscurity to regional dominance. This partnership, forged in the mid-18th century, was not just a political maneuver, but a deeply strategic alignment that combined religious fervor with military prowess. The reasons for their success were multifaceted. It wasn't merely their military strength or religious zeal that set them apart, but a combination of various factors that worked in their favor. Militarily, the Saudis were adept at desert warfare, utilizing their knowledge of the terrain and their skilled cavalry to great effect. Their ability to navigate the harsh desert environment gave them a significant advantage over their adversaries, who often found themselves outmaneuvered and outclassed. Their adoption of the Wahhabi ideology provided them with a fanatical zeal that struck fear into the hearts of their enemies. This religious fervor was not just a tool for conquest, but also a means to unify their followers under a common cause. Wahhabism, with its emphasis on jihad or holy war, provided a powerful justification for expansion and conquest. This ideology was instrumental in rallying support and legitimizing their campaigns, making their military endeavors seem like divine missions. Politically, the Saudis were astute rulers, consolidating their gains by establishing a centralized system of governance and forging alliances with key tribes. They understood the intricate dynamics of tribal politics and used this knowledge to their advantage. They understood the importance of tribal loyalties in Arabian society, and they cleverly used a combination of carrot and stick to bring other tribes under their sway. This approach ensured that they could maintain control over a vast and diverse region. Those who submitted peacefully were often rewarded with positions of power and influence, which not only secured their loyalty but also integrated them into the Saudi administration, while those who resisted were dealt with harshly. This dual approach of reward and punishment was effective in maintaining order and discouraging rebellion. Economically, the Saudis benefited from control of key trade routes, particularly the pilgrimage routes to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. These routes were not only vital for trade, but also for the religious significance they held. The revenue generated from taxing these pilgrimages provided the Saudi state with a much-needed source of income. This financial stability allowed them to fund their military campaigns and administrative expenses. However, the early Saudi state was not without its internal challenges. The rapid expansion and consolidation of power brought about its own set of problems. Succession disputes and rivalries within the Al Saud family often led to instability and internal conflict. These power struggles sometimes threatened to unravel the very fabric of the state they had built. Moreover, the strict and often intolerant nature of Wahhabi rule alienated some segments of society, sowing the seeds of future dissent. This intolerance sometimes led to resistance from those who felt marginalized or oppressed. Despite these challenges, the Saudi family, by the early 19th century, had established a significant presence in the Arabian Peninsula. Their influence was undeniable, and their legacy was beginning to take shape. Their influence extended across vast swaths of territory, and their name had become synonymous with both religious fervor and military might. The combination of strategic alliances, military prowess, and religious zeal had firmly entrenched the Al Saud family as a dominant force in the region. The early 19th century saw the first Saudi state face its greatest challenge yet, the might of the Ottoman Empire. This period was marked by intense conflict and dramatic shifts in power dynamics in the Arabian Peninsula. Alarmed by the growing power and influence of the Saudis, the Ottomans, under the leadership of the ambitious Egyptian viceroy, Muhammad Ali Pasha, dispatched a formidable army to crush the nascent Saudi state. Muhammad Ali Pasha, known for his military prowess and strategic acumen, saw the rising Saudi power as a direct threat to Ottoman dominance in the region. The ensuing conflict was brutal and protracted. Battles raged across the Arabian Peninsula, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The Saudi forces, though fierce and determined, were ultimately no match for the superior firepower and organization of the Egyptian army. The Saudi forces, though fierce and determined, were ultimately no match for the superior firepower and organization of the Egyptian army. The Ottomans employed advanced military tactics and weaponry, which overwhelmed the traditional combat methods of the Saudi warriors. In 1818, after years of fighting, the Saudi capital of Diriyah fell to the Ottomans, marking the end of the first Saudi state. The fall of Diriyah was a significant event, symbolizing the collapse of Saudi resistance and the temporary end of their aspirations for regional dominance. The defeat was a crushing blow to the House of Saud, but it did not extinguish their ambitions. The resilience of the Saudi leadership and their determination to reclaim their lost glory set the stage for a remarkable comeback. Turki bin Abdullah, a descendant of the first Saudi ruler, emerged from the ashes of defeat to lead a resurgence of Saudi power. His leadership was instrumental in rallying the remaining Saudi forces and supporters, and he became a symbol of hope and resistance. In 1824, he captured Riyadh and established the Second Saudi State. This marked a new chapter in Saudi history, as Riyadh became the new center of power and a symbol of the Saudi revival. While smaller and less powerful than its predecessor, the Second Saudi State marked a return to prominence for the Al Saud family. The new state focused on consolidating power and rebuilding its influence in the region, despite the challenges it faced. Throughout the remainder of the 19th century, the Saudis struggled to maintain their independence, facing pressure from rival tribes, the Ottomans, and internal divisions. These internal and external pressures tested the resilience and unity of the Saudi state, but they also forged a stronger sense of identity and purpose among its leaders. It was during this turbulent period that Abdulaziz ibn Saud, the man who would become the founder of modern Saudi Arabia, was born. His birth marked the beginning of a new era, as he would later lead the unification of the Arabian Peninsula and establish the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, shaping the future of the region.